Hello everybody, my name is Nika Yunita Muharam. In this occasion for Asia TOEFL conference, I would like to present the paper which me and my colleague have wrote, in this case entitled What It Means to Be Visually Literate, Students' Utilization of Video Presentation for Academic Work. In this case, please, I'd like to make a disclaimer that there had been I had been notified that my paper, my abstract, was accepted on November the 1st, 2020. It was a big change since it was actually declined when Asia TOEFL first confirmed me the the rejection of my abstract back in February 2020. So as I received the news to present this paper, I was in a haste to conduct the research immediately, since the time for the video and the PowerPoint presentation, I only had a few days to conduct the research and also the video draft of the paper and also video presentation. So it has the initial abstract was entitled The Assessment of Students' Utilization of Images for Their Academic Work. However, we realized that with such a short limited time, there probably will not be enough time to measure all of the research instruments. So we did not have rigorous questionnaire or interview. Instead, we had time to collect students' work from previous activity in the classroom. So this is us. My name is Nika Yunita Muharam and my colleague Della Kartikasari. We are from the Department of English Education from Indonesia, Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, or UPI. And we can be our email address. Our main email address is nika@upi.edu and also della@upi.edu. So I'd like to start with a quotation here by Afgarinu in 2009 in regard to visual literacy, visual messages. How far can this empirical unguided venture guarantee that young people are not partial and passive receivers of visual messages? This is quite important because as we go through the second decades of the 20th century, with the pandemic, everything became infused with technology, and of course digital visual information bombarded us from how it had been perhaps 3 decades ago. So large differences do have change our ways of consuming information. One of the most impacted, if of course, young people, how they receive visual messages as a part of daily communication in and outside of school. So we depart from this particular notion that digital technology has facilitated rapid circulation of information in forms of both digital and digital images and other non-textual formats, and also in the context of today's students, there have been common assumption of how today's student would be more responsive to the use of digital technology than most of than most of the generation. So in this case, Elkins in 2007 note that it would be beneficial to include images in classroom instruction. Thus, he mentioned that images should become essential to students' education and literacy. However, in practice, the notion of visual literacy is often disregarded, especially in the context of higher education context. Sometimes, perhaps, a consideration is very minor, while put in other of greater importance, such as critical literacy. So the purpose of our research is also, as I disclaimed previously, had also had some modification from its previous context. It was aimed at reporting how undergraduate students in an EFL classroom use their selection of images in academic work. However, due to the limited time, we did not conduct rigorous research to have the students carefully select their images to be used in their paper or in their PowerPoint presentation. Instead, we focus on how they created images in their selections of video presentation, which is quite common to be used as a part of an assessment in this pandemic era. And also, the purpose of the research is to inform possible visual literacy instruction to be done in higher education context. So the theoretical of visual literacy was first developed or introduced in 1960s when John Debs established the International Visual Literacy Association, and since then the context of visual literacy had been studied within in a research of interdisciplinary context. The work of Filipina Win in 2004 defined visual literacy as the ability to find meaning in imagery, where it involves a set of skills ranging from simple identification, naming what one sees, the complex interpretation on contextual, metaphoric, and philosophical levels. Many aspects of cognition are called upon, such as personal association, questioning, speculating, analyzing, fact-finding, and categorizing. In this case, Eva Brumberger also mentioned that using visual literacy can be very interpretive and also very productive, which makes it also suitable to empower students in creating and making meaning of today's text and context. Specifically, what Spalter and Van Dam in 2008 formulated on the case of digital visual literacy, which should include 3 domains. The indicators are that students can critically evaluate digital visual materials, whether it be in 2-dimension, 3D, or animated, including the cognitive ability of making decisions on the basis of digital visual representation. And lastly is the use of computers to create meaningful visual communication. The framework that we choose for our study, the indicator of visual literacy that we will see in students in participating in research is the selecting, evaluating, and the using of images or other types of visual design in students' academic work. The methodology and the research procedure of the research is first begins with the research question. These research questions have also been modified to accommodate the limited time of conducting the research. First, we find out what types of visual resources students use in their academic work, such as presentation. And then what consideration did the students have in selecting, creating, and organizing the visual resources for their classwork presentation? So this study was exploratory in nature that employ qualitative data analysis. The data collection involved 60 participants, which were undergraduate students enrolled in the course of exploring fiction. And data collection technique was first, we did not had in questionnaire. We did not distribute questionnaires. We asked the students to submit a piece of assignment in regard to the course exploring fiction, and then we interview them based on the instrument we have set for the research. So the interview coding was based on focus on three main area: how the student design the recorded PowerPoint presentation, how do they select the image or the visual images they use for their presentation, and what messages can they send, or what messages can fade from their choice of visual presentation. From the data gathered, we see that the questionnaires had been given in the very simple questionnaires, with not a rigorous one, was given to students consisting of 20 questions. It was found that most of the students were not aware of the concept of visual literacy and or visuality. Among all students mentioned that the classroom instruction did not particularly ask for means of any visual selection. Out of 27 students, they're very familiar with most of the students are familiar with PowerPoint presentation. However, some of them, about 27 students, are familiar with the uses of video creating devices or apps, that is KineMaster and also Bandicam. Students' understanding of visual literacy, the themes found in the research are: first, students' understanding of visual literacy and visuality, and students' choice of image, PowerPoint template to be used in their video presentation. So instead of the image, due to the limited time, we do not also have the students, we did not have enough time to scaffold the students in order them to carefully select the images. Instead, we gave them the assignment of how they would transfer their ideas and communicate their ideas in terms of video presentation. According to our observation and interview, and also the short questionnaire that we delivered to students through Google Form, a selection of students answered in response to the question posed in the questionnaire. What does the phrase visual literacy mean to you? Most of the students, we selected three most used response: that visual literacy means reading a message from an image, the ability to accurately interpret and talk about images, being able to analyze and understand images. From this three most dominant responses, we can say that students emphasize one aspect of visual literacy that relates to reading images. So for students, visual literacy means the ability to read images, while the ability to use and produce visual content were not mentioned. And the second theme found in the data is that student choice of image to be used in the video presentation. Despite the instruction of careful selecting images for the PowerPoint presentation, in their submitted work, students tend to create video presentation with apps such as KineMaster and Bandicam. This is taken from a students group presentation. As you can see here, they use the way they select the template for the presentation is in the interview it was found that they select a PowerPoint presentation template which is free and available online, and their consideration is to choose template that had education atmosphere in it, or something that would relate to their background as students in the academic study program, in education study program, which later on will become teachers. Another type of video presentation did not involve the selection of free presentation template. However, some students, as in the interview mentioned, as you can see here, the template of the PowerPoint was relatively simple, without any ornaments or selected images or any messages, aside from that it should invoke clarity. They did not so the students here did not choose particularly image from free template online. Instead, they relied on how the video maker apps would create motion and visual effect, and they believe that this facilitates them to convey the meaning and the messages that they would like to deliver to the audience, to capture the audience attention. So in short, students' choice of presentation template and formats highly regarded the aesthetic factor, where the role of selection were to engage and to entertain. So in conclusion, and also recommendation made from this very short modified research, is that despite its limitation, findings of this study point to the importance of teaching visual literacy concepts and competency in undergraduate EFL context, with proper preparation, instruments, and exploration. We believe that students of future teacher students can be made aware of the importance of visual literacy in their daily academic work, so that it would have impact towards their future as teachers. Thank you.